Yo, what's happening everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go discussion video. Alright, so in case you missed it, raid battles have been incredibly broken for the past week, and this is something that I've been holding off on making a video about, mainly because I want to see how it all pans out. Well, it's been about a week and Niantic hasn't done anything, so yeah, let's talk about it. Raid battles are incredibly broken right now, and it's nearly impossible for you to take down a Kyogre, especially if you have a full lobby of 20 trainers. Yeah, let me repeat that. If you have a full lobby of 20 trainers, then you're going to go up against a Kyogre that's going to completely wipe out all of your Pokemon, which in turn is going to require you to use more revives and potions than you typically would, and then on top of that, you will not be able to take it down unless you have some Pokemon that could tank a lot of damage. So what exactly am I talking about? Well, in case you didn't know, with legendary raid battles, and all raid battles for that matter, there is a failsafe within those raids where they will not actually use their charge attacks 100% of the time if they have a full energy bar. That's something that has been a hidden mechanic within raid battles, and it's their way of balancing it so that those legendary raids do not spam their super powerful charge attacks. That would completely wipe out your entire raid. And yeah, this failsafe is currently not in raid battles, which means if they have a full energy bar, they're just going to use their charge attack on the next attack. This may not seem like a big deal, but think about it. Every time that legendary boss takes damage from any of your Pokemon or any of your raid mates' Pokemon, it's gaining a little bit of energy, which means that if you have a full lobby of 20 trainers, then it's going to constantly have a full energy bar, which means it's going to spam its charge attack constantly. So yeah, ever since this bug was discovered, I've been avoiding Kyogre raids like a plague, and that's kind of unfortunate for me because Kyogre is such an essential Pokemon. But I do not want to sit there and waste so many raid passes as well as revives and potions just to keep up with these Pokemon. I just feel like it's not efficient right now to do any kind of legendary raiding. Unless of course you have the absolute best of the best counters that could take a lot of that damage. You might be able to pull it off if you have the right amount of trainers, but yeah, it's incredibly broken right now, and Niantic has done very little to actually fix this. And to be honest with you, I think this is a huge mistake because raiding is a core aspect of Pokemon Go's gameplay. No matter where you are in Pokemon Go, you want to do as many raids as you can, especially for a Pokemon like Kyogre. But if raiding is incredibly broken and Niantic is neglecting it, then they're missing out on a lot of revenue that they could potentially be getting. There's a lot of players out there who just simply cannot do any raid battles right now because of this bug. And yeah, that's a lot of revenue that they're missing out on. So I really do think this needs to be priority number one. They need to make sure raiding is in tip-top shape, otherwise players are just not going to care for it. Now, something I will acknowledge is that raid battles have become redundant for a very long time. It really does not matter if you have enough of the right counters, you can just take down a raid boss as long as you have the numbers. That has always been a part of Pokemon Go's raiding experience. If you have a full lobby of 20 trainers, congratulations, you're going to be able to take down that raid without issue. And it really hasn't been anything different for a very long time, pretty much since the beginning. At the beginning of raid battles, it was a very different story because even if you had a full lobby of 20 trainers, there might be a chance that you will not have enough DPS to take it down. But considering that we've seen so much power creep in Pokemon Go, where a lot of super powerful Pokemon have been released over time, yeah, raids are incredibly easy right now, and there really is no planning or strategy involved. But if Niantic's way of fixing this balance issue is to make raids nearly impossible because of this charge attack bug, then I really do not think this is the right direction. I mean, for what it's worth, it's currently labeled as a bug. I do not think this is something that Niantic intended for raid battles, but they have stated that they're looking to rebalance raiding as of right now, and because of that, this bug has crept itself into Pokemon Go. So it's kind of a sign that this is a direction that Niantic might be taking raids. But I do think that when it comes to the overall experience of raid battles, there's a lot of directions that they could go that could be a lot better for Pokemon Go players. Like, if they want to make raid battles a lot more difficult, maybe they could have it so that they have dynamic stats, where if there's going to be more players in that raid lobby, then the raid boss is going to have a lot higher stats. But if you have less trainers in that raid lobby, then the raid boss is going to be slightly easier, but difficult enough where you still need to plan and strategize. I think that would be a much better direction to go, rather than just having it so that it's going to be incredibly difficult across the board. I guess as a Pokemon Go community, we're in a wait and see mode right now when it comes to raid battles. I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate that this is all happening right now when there's Kyogres in raids, but I really do think that there is a possibility here that some good can come out of it. Like I said, raiding has needed some changes for a very long time because it's felt so redundant. It's basically another chore that players feel like they have to do in order to get some of the best Pokemon, and there really is no planning and strategy involved, like how it used to be when raids first appeared. And I do think that for Niantic, they should be thinking about these things because raiding is, like I said, a core aspect of Pokemon Go. So if it becomes a boring part of Pokemon Go, then essentially the game itself is a boring game. And yeah, that's kind of been the problem with the game for a very long time. The game does feel incredibly boring right now because everything in the game is mindlessly given to you. And there really is no thought or effort involved in getting some of the best Pokemon. The only real strategy in the game is with PvP, and we all know where PvP currently stands. It's an incredibly buggy mess, and it's really difficult for any player to jump into. So Niantic's only crutch is really with raid battles, and if raid battles are this broken, then I really do think it spells disaster for the future of Pokemon Go. So yeah, in my opinion, this needs to be priority number one. Niantic needs to polish up raid battles right now. These sort of bugs and issues should not be present in Pokemon Go, no matter what. Niantic should always be preventing issues with raids, and while at the same time, they should be considering different ways to make Pokemon Go's raiding a much better experience with a lot of dynamic gameplay. I mean, we just got Dynamax Pokemon in Pokemon Go, and there's a lot of potential for there to be some crossover gameplay between Dynamax Pokemon and raids. I've been mentioning this in previous videos, but I really do think that when it comes to Dynamax battles, they should find some way of integrating using Dynamax Pokemon in raid battles so that you could have a much more dynamic experience. And this is certainly a possibility, especially with Gigantamax Pokemon coming in the future. We do not know how Niantic is going to pan out Dynamax Pokemon and how they're going to be involved in other areas of the game. I really do hope there's some sort of involvement because I like the idea of you being able to use both Dynamax Pokemon and Mega Evolutions in raid battles to have different strategies and different forms of efficient gameplay. But I really do think that for what it's worth, Niantic has had a history of going the easy way out when it comes to all of their gameplay features, and I really hope that's not the case this time around. But yeah, it's really going to depend on what they do with raid battles, because as of right now, it's a completely buggy mess, and a lot of players are feeling frustrations and disappointment, and Niantic is not doing much in terms of communication. So there's just a lot of issues here, and I really hope Niantic course corrects, because yeah, I really do not like how things feel right now when it comes to raids, and I think this is something that needs to be priority number one. Niantic needs to polish up raiding and make it a very positive experience. Otherwise, it's not going to be a good thing for the long-term health of this game. But yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this discussion video. Let me know your thoughts regarding raid battles down below. Have you been experiencing much more difficult raids as a result of this bug? What do you think Niantic should do for the future of raiding? Let me know those thoughts down below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be insightful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the absolute best way you could do so is by joining my Patreon. If you become a paid Patreon member, you get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. That means for stuff like remote raids in the friendship system, if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a different way, you can do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And with all that said, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.